Have you ever walked into a classroom and just felt the difference? What turns a room with some desks and chairs into a real launchpad for learning? Well, it's not magic, but it is a kind of science. Today, we're diving into the secrets of a truly effective classroom, from the physical stuff all the way to the student mindset. Let's get into it.
So, what is the secret to a great classroom? Is it the fancy tech, the perfect curriculum? I mean, yeah, those things are important. But the real foundation, the thing that holds everything else up, is the environment itself. It's like the invisible architecture that supports every single moment of learning. And that environment, it can really go one of two ways. On one side, you've got chaos. You know the scene. Kids are distracted, they're anxious, they're constantly asking the teacher for basic stuff. Learning just feels like an uphill battle. But then, on the other side, you have calm. Here, students are focused, they feel safe, and they can actually work on their own. This is where the magic happens, where that deep learning kicks in. So, how do we get from chaos to calm?
Well, it all starts with the most basic thing, the physical space. And listen, this is about so much more than just being tidy. This is about building a system that actually works for everyone in the room. Here's the core idea, which comes from the K-Files. The organization isn't just for the teacher's sanity, right? When students know exactly where everything is and where it goes, they get this huge boost of confidence. They feel empowered to take charge of their own learning. The room itself becomes a tool for them.
And you know what's so great about this? The solution is incredibly simple, but so powerful. Labeling. Just by clearly marking everything, from the bin with the glue sticks to the basket for finished work, you're basically handing your students a map. Suddenly, they don't have to ask where the scissors are. The room itself just tells them.
And the payoff here is just massive. It promotes independence, for sure. It builds a sense of responsibility. It saves an unbelievable amount of instructional time that used to get lost. And hey, let's be real, it makes life 1,000 times easier for a substitute teacher walking in. A well-organized room basically runs itself.
Okay, so the physical space is set. The next layer is organizing time. This is all about creating an internal rhythm for the classroom, and you do that with predictable routines.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. We can't just assume kids know what to do. Research from TCNODU makes it super clear. Routines have to be taught. You have to model them. You have to practice them over and over until they just become second nature.
So why bother with all this? Because predictability creates psychological safety. Think about it. When a child knows what's coming next, their anxiety goes way down. And that frees up all this mental energy that they can then use for learning, instead of worrying about what's about to happen.
The process for teaching a routine is actually pretty straightforward. It's basically a 4-step dance. First, you model it, and then you have the students practice it. You can use pictures and visuals to help them out, maybe even role-play some scenarios. But the final step is the one that makes it all stick. You have to reinforce it with positive feedback every single day. Consistency is key.
And here's a fantastic little tip from Edutopia for making those routines stick. Use music. A simple little song for cleaning up or for lining up can act as a gentle signal. It tells everyone what needs to happen without the teacher saying a word, and it can turn a potentially chaotic moment into something smooth and even kind of fun.
Okay, so we've organized the room, we've organized the schedule. But this isn't just about classroom management for the sake of it. All of this foundational work, it's all leading up to a much, much bigger goal, making space for actual, genuine curiosity.
Let's just ask the question directly. Why does any of this matter? It matters because when a student's brain isn't cluttered with tiny worries like, where's my pencil, or what are we doing next, it's finally free to ask the big questions, the what if and the why questions.
And that leads us to this really important idea from research, epistemic curiosity. Now, this isn't just being interested in something for a second. This is that deep internal drive to gain new knowledge, to figure out problems. It's that burning desire to simply know more. Our calm, organized classroom is the perfect environment for that to flourish.
But teachers, of course, face some real obstacles here. Research shows the biggest things that get in the way are a lack of time, rigid curriculum demands, and even their own limitations. And this is exactly why our organized, routine-driven classroom is such a game changer. It directly combats these problems by saving time and creating mental space for everyone.
So, this brings us squarely to the teacher. I mean, they're the architects of this whole environment, right? And it turns out they're usually drawing from two very different toolkits to build it.
Research from Frontiers points to this fascinating tension inside every teacher. On one hand, you have all the theory and strategies they learned in their university studies. But on the other hand, you have these really deep, ingrained memories from their own time as a kid in school. And, a lot of the time, these two things are in conflict.
And here's where it gets really important. The knowledge from university is all about evidence-based preventive strategies. Things like setting up those routines we talked about. It's playing offense. But our own school memories, they often default to simple reactive stuff, like verbal warnings or punishments, because that's what we saw happen. The most effective teachers learn how to consciously choose those preventive, offensive strategies over the reactive, defensive ones.
So when we step back and look at all these pieces together, the physical space, the routines, the teacher's mindset, a really powerful metaphor emerges. We're not just managing a classroom. We are carefully cultivating an entire ecosystem. And here it is, the formula for that ecosystem. You need a solid physical structure for stability. You add in predictable routines to create safety and rhythm. And you guide it all with teacher wisdom, that conscious choice to use those evidence-based strategies. You put those three things together and bam, you have created the perfect conditions for curiosity to take root and just grow like crazy.
A great classroom never happens by accident. It is a carefully designed ecosystem, built layer by layer specifically to support thriving, curious minds. So that leaves us with one final thought. If you were building your own optimal learning environment, what's the very first seed you would plant?